Okay, let's talk about the First Home Savings Account, the FHSA. It is an absolute game changer for anyone saving up for their first place. But, like any really powerful tool, you've got to know how to use it the right way to get the full punch.
So let me ask you this, and it's really the core question. Is every single dollar you put into your FHSA a guaranteed tax deduction? I mean, you'd think so, right? But it's actually not that simple.
You should really think of the FHSA as a superpower for homebuyers. Seriously. But even superheroes have their kryptonite. And for the FHSA, it's knowing that not every contribution you make is going to lower your tax bill. So let's break down the common traps so you can avoid some really costly mistakes.
All right, let's dive into our first major trap. And this one is all about timing. I'm talking specifically about what you do after you've already used your FHSA to buy that dream home. This is where one simple move can cost you a really valuable deduction.
Okay, the rule here is crystal clear, and it is incredibly strict. The second you make that first qualifying withdrawal for your home, that's it. The door for deductions slams shut, permanently. Any money you put in after that point cannot be deducted. Not that year, not the next year, ever.
Let's make this real. I want you to meet Clayton. He did pretty much everything right, but just one tiny little timing mistake ended up costing him.
So check this out. For 3 years, Clayton does everything by the book. He's putting in $8,000 a year, deducting it, all good. In August 2028, he does it. He uses the money to buy his first home. That's the big win. But then, in December, he decides to put in another $8,000. Because this happened after he made that withdrawal, that entire contribution is now non-deductible. What a tough lesson on timing.
Okay, next up. This is a mistake that is so easy to make, especially if you get a little too excited with your savings goals. The over-contribution. This is what happens when you put in more cash than your annual limit actually allows.
So when you contribute too much, you create what's officially called an excess FSHA amount. Now, you'll have to pull that excess money out to avoid penalties, but the way you fix it can actually create a brand new trap, and you could permanently lose the tax deduction on that money.
Let me show you exactly how this works in the real world. Meet Stephanie. She was super enthusiastic about saving in her first year and put in $11,000. But that great habit accidentally sprung a tax trap. The math here is pretty simple, right? Stephanie contributed $11,000, but her annual room was only $8,000. That leaves her with a $3,000 excess amount that she's got to deal with. And here's where the trap snaps shut. To avoid a 1% monthly penalty tax, Stephanie makes what's called a designated withdrawal to take out that extra $3,000. Great, she avoids the penalty. But here's the permanent consequence. That $3,000 can never be recontributed and deducted. The chance to get a tax break on that money is just gone. Forever. And hey, this isn't just a first-year problem. You can also over-contribute by busting through the lifetime limit over several years. Let's take a look at Wesley's situation. His fantastic saving habits actually led him straight into this very trap. So over 5 years, Wesley is just crushing it, maxing out his contributions and hitting that $40,000 lifetime limit. Awesome, right? But then the next year, in 2030, he adds another $5,000. Since he's already at the cap, that entire amount is an over-contribution, and that means it offers absolutely zero tax deduction.
All right, let's talk about a detail that trips up a ton of people. The huge difference between putting new money into your FHSA, a contribution, and just moving money over from your RRSP, a transfer. They might feel the same, but for tax purposes, they are worlds apart.
So let's be super clear. You can absolutely move money from your RRSP to your FHSA. It's a great feature. But, and this is a big but, doing that does not create a new tax deduction. Why? Well, think about it. You already got a tax deduction when you first put that money into your RRSP years ago. The government is not going to let you double dip.
So a new contribution gets you that sweet tax deduction. An RSP transfer does not. But here's the real kicker. The thing you absolutely have to remember. Both of them, the new contribution and the transfer, use up your valuable FHSA contribution room for the year. This detail is so crucial.
Okay, so what happens if you do both in the same year? This is where things can get a little messy. In a single year, Janella puts in $5,000 of new money and she transfers another $5,000 from her RSSP. The way this impacts her final deduction might really surprise you.
The key here is really the order of how this gets calculated.
To figure out your available deduction, you have to subtract any RRSP transfers from your annual room first. So for Janella, her $8,000 room immediately gets reduced by that $5,000 transfer, leaving only $3,000 of deduction room. So even though she contributed $5,000 of new money, only $3,000 of it is actually deductible that year.
Okay, we've covered the big traps, so now it's time for a little quick fire round on a few other hidden non-deductibles. These are items you might assume you can write off, but nope.
First off, if your investments lose money, sorry, you can't claim that as a capital loss. Second, any account fees, like admin fees or trading fees, are not deductible. And finally, if you borrowed money to make a contribution, you can't deduct the interest you pay on that loan. You got to think of the FHSA as a totally self-contained little bubble.
Phew, okay, we've waded through some tricky situations, so let's just boil it all down into a few simple, golden rules to make sure you get the absolute maximum benefit from your FHSA.
Here we go, your 4 golden rules. 1, the second you make that first home withdrawal, stop all contributions. That's it, that door is closed. 2, always watch your annual and your $40,000 lifetime limits. Don't go over. 3, remember, RSP transfers use up your room, but they give you no new deduction. Don't waste that space. And 4, fees, interest, and losses inside the account stay inside the account. You can't deduct them anywhere else.
So there you have it. The FHSA is an incredible tool, and now you know exactly how to avoid those common pitfalls that can totally wipe out your tax deductions. You've got the knowledge, now you're ready to go out and maximize your own path to buying a home.